Imagine a predator that does not need the crushing strength of a lion, the explosive acceleration of a cheetah, or the enormous size of a leopard. Instead, it survives through something far more subtle: movement, endurance, social intelligence, and the ability to turn an entire pack into a hunting system. Across the African savanna, African wild dogs move together as though connected by an invisible thread. When prey is detected, that peaceful procession can suddenly become a high-speed pursuit, and within seconds, the landscape itself seems to change. What looked like an open plain becomes a battlefield of movement, direction, and opportunity. The wild dogs are not simply chasing. They are testing, reacting, separating, and exploiting every mistake their prey makes. And behind this, apparently chaotic pursuit, lies one of the most fascinating hunting strategies in the animal kingdom. African wild dogs, Lycaon pictus, are relatively small predators, generally weighing around 20 to 25 kilograms, yet they regularly hunt prey considerably larger than themselves. Their greatest weapon is therefore not physical dominance, it is cooperation. Historical observations helped create the famous image of the wild dog as an almost unstoppable endurance predator, capable of pursuing prey over long distances while members of the pack worked together. Modern tracking technology, however, has revealed that the reality is more complicated. In some environments, wild dogs really do engage in prolonged pursuits, while in others, they rely heavily on repeated, short, high-speed chases. GPS and inertial measurements from Botswana recorded more than 1,000 high-speed chases and found that many were surprisingly brief, with no evidence of the rigid, highly coordinated chase formations often portrayed in popular documentaries. And that revelation makes the wild dog's hunting strategy even more remarkable. Their efficiency does not depend on every member of the pack following a predetermined formation. Instead, the pack functions as a flexible network of predators constantly responding to what is happening around them. Before a chase begins, the dogs may travel together at relatively low speeds, searching their surroundings for an opportunity. The pack can spread across the landscape, increasing its ability to detect and flush prey. Once an animal bolts, one or more dogs can accelerate almost instantly, transforming the search into pursuit. Other members may join, continue moving independently, or position themselves where another opportunity develops. What appears chaotic from a distance can actually be an extraordinarily efficient division of labor. Speed is an important part of this equation. African wild dogs are capable of reaching roughly 19 meters per second, or around 42 miles per hour, under recorded conditions. Yet raw speed alone does not explain their success. Cheetahs remain faster and possess extraordinary acceleration and turning ability, but wild dogs compensate through a different combination of traits: endurance, repeated pursuit, social behavior, and the ability to share the rewards of a hunt. Research comparing wild dogs and cheetahs found that wild dogs can undertake frequent chases while maintaining an energetically viable hunting strategy because the benefits of group hunting and shared feeding can outweigh the energetic costs of repeated pursuits. This is where the idea of the relay becomes especially interesting. The famous image of one exhausted dog dropping behind while a fresh dog takes its place captures something about the extraordinary endurance of the species, but it should not be treated as a universal, mechanically synchronized procedure. Wild dogs do not need to operate like runners passing a baton. Their advantage is that an entire pack can keep pressure on a prey population, while individual dogs vary their participation. One animal may accelerate after a fleeing impala, while others remain farther back. Another may suddenly join the pursuit. A chase can end, the dogs can regroup, and another opportunity can begin almost immediately. Rather than one continuous machine, the pack behaves more like a living network capable of repeatedly generating new attacks. And that distinction matters because prey animals do not simply run in a straight line. They turn. They accelerate, they double back, they exploit terrain, they attempt to stay inside the herd. Every change in direction creates another decision for the predator. The wild dog's advantage comes from being able to react collectively to those decisions. A pack spread across a wider area can increase the number of directions from which prey may be approached. A fleeing animal that escapes one pursuer may encounter another. A herd that breaks apart may create multiple opportunities. In this sense, the geometry of the hunt is not necessarily a rigid formation drawn onto the savanna. It is constantly changing. The landscape itself becomes part of the strategy. In open country, prey can see predators approaching from a distance, making concealment difficult. But the wild dogs do not necessarily need to hide. Their strategy can be based on movement. They can travel, search, flush prey, accelerate, break off, and attack again. In woodland and mixed savanna habitats where long-distance pursuit may be less practical, this opportunistic approach becomes particularly valuable. A detailed study of a Botswana pack found that the dogs frequently performed short, high-speed chases rather than prolonged, collaborative pursuits of a single animal. Individual chase success in that study was low, but group feeding rates were high because the pack shared the prey that was captured. That finding challenges one of the most persistent myths about African wild dogs. Their reputation is often built around the idea that every hunt is a perfectly choreographed assault in which every member knows exactly where every other member is going. The reality is less theatrical, but perhaps more impressive. Wild dogs do not need perfect coordination to gain enormous advantages from living together. Research has shown that hunting success can increase as the number of adult dogs in a pack increases, while larger groups can also pursue larger prey and better defend kills. Their social system extends far beyond the moment of the kill. Before hunting excursions, packs can engage in highly energetic social rallies involving greetings, physical contact, and distinctive vocalizations. These interactions help maintain the bonds that hold the group together. When the pack eventually leaves to search for prey, it is not simply a collection of individual carnivores traveling in the same direction. It is a deeply social society whose members depend on one another for hunting, feeding, defense, and survival. Then comes the moment when everything changes. A herd moves across the grassland. Heads rise, ears turn. One animal notices movement, then another. The pack accelerates. For the prey, the first few seconds can determine everything. The dogs do not need to be faster than the animal forever. They only need to create enough pressure to force mistakes. Every turn costs energy. Every acceleration consumes oxygen. Every attempt to escape creates another opportunity for a predator to react. The chase becomes a contest not merely of speed, but of energy management. And this is where the wild dog's physiology becomes crucial. Their bodies are built for sustained movement rather than the extreme explosive specialization of the cheetah. Their long legs, lightweight build, large lungs, and efficient cardiovascular system allow them to maintain high-speed locomotion and repeatedly return to the hunt. They may not possess the fastest acceleration on the continent, but they do not need to win the first second. They need to remain dangerous after the first second has passed. The prey begins to tire. The dogs keep moving. One breaks away, another accelerates. The direction changes, the distance closes. And suddenly, the hunt is no longer about whether the prey can outrun one dog. It is about whether it can escape the entire system. Yet even here, nature refuses to follow a simple script. Wild dogs do not kill successfully every time. Many chases fail. Modern field research has shown that individual chase success can be surprisingly low, even while the pack as a whole remains highly successful at obtaining food through repeated opportunities and communal feeding. In one Botswana study, the individual kill rate was only about 15.5%, demonstrating just how misleading a single universal 80% success rate can be. The lesson is profound. Efficiency does not mean winning every chase. Efficiency means making failure survivable. A lion can spend enormous amounts of energy stalking and attacking prey. A cheetah can unleash extraordinary acceleration, but must carefully manage the tremendous energetic cost of its sprint. African wild dogs have evolved another solution. They distribute the risks among many individuals. They share food. They repeatedly search for opportunities. They can attempt multiple chases, and when one member succeeds, the entire social group can benefit. That is the real machine. Not a perfect geometric formation, not an army following a predetermined battle plan. A society. Every dog contributes to the survival of the group, and the group in turn increases the survival prospects of every dog. Larger packs can improve hunting success and expand the range of prey that they can exploit. They can also defend their kills more effectively against competitors such as spotted hyenas. As the final moments of a successful hunt approach, the extraordinary social structure of the pack becomes impossible to ignore. The chase ends, the prey falls, the dogs converge. What began as scattered movement across the landscape becomes a gathering of the entire family. There is no solitary victor. There is only the pack. The youngest animals may eventually benefit from the food. Adults share the carcass. The successful hunter does not walk away with the entire reward. In a species where survival depends so heavily on cooperation, the kill belongs to the group. And perhaps that is why African wild dogs are so fascinating. They are not the largest predators. They are not the strongest. They are not the fastest. They are not even universally successful on every chase. But evolution did not require them to be any of those things. Instead, it created a predator capable of turning dozens of individual decisions into one collective advantage. Sometimes that advantage appears as endurance, sometimes as speed, sometimes as opportunistic pursuit, sometimes as a larger pack overwhelming a difficult prey target. And sometimes it is simply the ability to keep trying when another predator would have already spent its energy. Across Africa's remaining wild landscapes, the African wild dog continues to demonstrate one of nature's most powerful principles. Survival does not always belong to the predator with the greatest individual weapon. Sometimes it belongs to the predator that works best as a team. The African wild dog does not conquer the savanna through brute force. It does something far more sophisticated. It turns cooperation into a weapon.